So you beautiful people, it's Trakky and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to talk about the changes that have happened in Call of Duty Warzone in the solo aspect of the game. But before we do that, if you do enjoy the video, a like is definitely appreciated, and if you're new here and you haven't subscribed already, then consider subscribing with the notification bell hit so you get my videos as soon as they are published. Recently we've had a very abrupt change to Call of Duty Warzone solos. We have had the core game that most of us have grown to love, I'd say, ripped away from us, and we now have the stimless solos mode. Now I'm going to put a vote up at the top. If you enjoy the stimulus over the core mode, then you vote for that. If you want the old solos back, then you vote for that. Anyway, back onto the video. So for me, it seems as if it seems to be a bad habit that Infinity Ward has. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we would have a playlist for a certain period of time, and then it would be abruptly removed, and usually to the dissatisfaction of many people. One thing, and I hate to bring this game up, but one thing Fortnite done very well in my opinion was leave the core game alone. Yes, they made changes within the core game mode, but it always was a reflection of its original self. And then they brought limited time game modes in for about a period of a week, which would be quite gimmicky, and then they would disappear. If you enjoyed them, you enjoyed them. If you didn't, you didn't. But at least you knew from the get-go it was a limited time game mode. Now currently we have had the solos that I really enjoyed. A lot of people say they're campy, but I feel that's the aspect and the whole meaning of a lot of battle royale is to try and, you know, keep yourself alive. So running and gunning, which is the philosophy of most Call of Duty players, is something that you've kind of have to drop at the door in certain parts of a battle royale game mode. But there was a predictable flow about that game. You knew where you was dropping. You knew if you clear out your enemies in that particular area, then you're king of the hill, and there's a 50-50 chance whether that person's going to make it out of the gulag alive. Now battle royale stimulus solos, you don't have the gulag anymore. You have to get $4,500, and that will give you an automatic redeploy when you die. You start with $4,500, so you're already kind of almost halfway to getting your loadout drop. And this was a problem initially when solos had the change, which was an all-encompassing change across the trios, across the quads. They basically changed how much a loadout drop cost, and it made it quite hard to obtain as a solo person. So the natural thing you'd think they'd do was up the floor loot, up the cash available in solos only, to make it just that bit quicker to accumulate the money you need for your loadouts. Now I personally believe you get your loadouts far too quickly in solos. And I know it's Call of Duty, so a lot of people like to have their own weapon, but it takes the RNG out of the game, which to me is what a battle royale game is all about. Yes, you continue to loot throughout the game. I always loot, even with my own loadout, but I just feel like when you're having a gunfight with somebody, it dictates how skillful you are. Let's just say I've still got my M19 pistol and they have a M4 that they found on the floor, and I managed to kill them. That's so much more satisfying to me to know I took you out even though you had a better weapon than me. And it's obviously going to have that effect on that player. Wow, he beat me with a pistol and I've got an M4. And I feel like you get your loadouts far too early in solos now. I like to be able to go around, and it's you get encouraged to loot when you haven't got your loadout, because UAVs are going up, you're coming up on the map, so you want to go and loot. But currently it takes me about 2 minutes to get my loadout, because start with $4,500, I walk into a room, there's $4,000 on the floor. We're near enough there. There's no incentive to go for contracts. There's no incentive to run around the map. In reality, you could stay in one little vicinity of the map and that is it. It also allows you to, as I've stated, spawn as soon as you die with $4,500. So what you have a problem is now, as a solo player, it's already hard enough battling through the map on your own. But now you've got to worry about you're shooting somebody, but you've just killed another guy. You don't know if he had $4,500. Let's say that person did have $4,500 and you're fighting that person. So this person's got a free lookout on where you was. They fly back in. You've already took damage because you was fighting them and this other person. They fly in. They know you're hurt. Even though you've beat the enemy that you're fighting, they get a few easy shots on you and take all of your money. That's not rewarding and it's not skillful. And I get the impression Infinity Ward has done this strategically to help players that haven't got a win in Warzone, in solos, or are the type of player that probably will never get a win. And that's just goes back to the same argument of dumbing down games for the sake of it. People are never going to get better if you don't allow them to be thrown in at the deep end at certain times. Now, am I saying that I'm not for helping people out? There's plenty in the game already to help you out. If you loot strategically, you get UAVs. If you loot frantically at the start, you get UAVs. There are certain places in the map you can choose to land to stay away from other people and have minimal fights at the start of the game. There's a playstyle that suits everybody in a battle royale game, and I feel this is what Call of Duty Warzone has done very well up until now. The solo stimulus is just, there's too much randomness for me. It hasn't got a flow. You have to constantly look behind you and have eyes in the back of your head because people are constantly flying back in, and the only time you get some reprieve and you can start to focus about what you're really doing is when the redeploys are no longer available in the game. And that's not really a nice feeling because I can already see that it's had the opposite effect of what Infinity probably wanted it to do. They probably wanted more skirmishes across the map. They wanted more people to fight, but less people are fighting. You fight when you have to now, not when you casually go about your business. You fight literally. People cower in a corner and wait till someone drops in, then they fight. Now, one thing I have learned over playing battle royale games over the past couple of years is one serious problem that you had when things weren't balanced was third partying. And it was one of the most annoying things in battle royale, in my personal opinion. You've done all the work, you get hurt, damaged within a fight, and someone just comes along and casually squeezes their trigger because they've heard all of the commotion or they knew where you are. And that's a problem we're currently having with this variation of solos. People who have been killed and have £4,500, sorry, automatically come back in because their skull's on the map. They know where they died, even if the game spawns at the other side of the map. People want their revenge in this game. It's something that's always been Call of Duty. People want revenge, and it's just so easy to give people that revenge now. I personally feel the Gulag was the perfect settlement as to giving you a second chance to get back in the game, not how much cash you've managed to stumble on. The Gulag, it's the 1v1 aspect. It's a 50-50 gunfight. You have the same weapon, you both have the same chance, and it's usually, I'm going to say usually because sometimes lag and all them sort of things get you killed, but usually down to your gun skill. And if you're confident in how good you are in the Gulag with your weapons, you usually win. For me, it's dictated by what weapon I have, and obviously there are some weapons that we're good with, there are some weapons that everyone's going to be equally as bad with. So I like that sort of RNG about the Gulag, and I just feel like it was the most genius stroke from Infinity Ward to incorporate it into a battle royale as a way of earning a redeploy. So for me, I just feel like the stimulus thing, it's a good idea, but they should not have removed the core aspect of the game. Bring it in as a limited time mode, just like Fortnite did for 7 days, and people who want to try something different, they can go into that, but you're not disrupting the core aspect and the hardcore gamers, because people have actively worked hard on strategies on how they play solos now, where they're going to move, how they're going to move, and that's just been all torn from under their feet now. So I just thought I'd make this video. It's probably come across as a semi-rant, but I need you guys to vote in that vote earlier in the video and let me know down in the comment section, do you think this was a good change, or do you want the original solos back like I do? Because I can tell you now, I don't think I'm going to play much solos in its current guise. It's very frustrating to play. Even though you get your loadouts very early in the game, you just seem to be fighting much more enemies. You might have 60 in a magazine, but it's almost like you're playing solo quads to me. That's how it seems. There's just so many people flying in on you, jumping back in on buildings, getting vantage points on you, and just obliterating you into next week. Guys, there are many buttons you could hit, but I like a subscribe button. I hope they tickle your fancy, and as always guys, stay on the right track. Peace.